I'm not on whiskey.
One, and we should be live. Hi, everyone. I am here with Craig Brown, the TO of WTC, and also a competitive Scottish player. Hi, Craig.
Hi, Bo. How you doing?
I'm good. And happy holidays to everyone. We are recording this in the Christmas holiday before New Year's. And Craig, what is on your year for this year? What do you
What's the...
like? What are you looking forward to in regards to hobbying?
Oh,
Let's put all the rest aside.
hobbying first of all. So, I have, as you can sort of see, a large number of cabinets behind me. Because I
Yeah.
think, like Bo, I have more than a couple bolt action armies. I've decided to try and get them painted this year.
Including the long range desert one that I suggested you make.
Yes, that's built and it's all base coated and based. I just need to start
Yes.
painting it. I am going to attempt to finish off the Africa Corps. I'm going to attempt to finish off the Marine Corps, which were my first army. I am going to finish off the Polish paratroopers. I'm going to paint an entire early war Fallschirmjäger double platoon because my finger slipped on Kickstarter and I bought too much.
Oh, yeah. That I hate it when that happens.
Oh, but those May 1940 models are so nice. Did a really good job on them. And I've got my early war BEF that I really need to paint. However, I have developed a system of painting armies now where
Quite a lot of armies on the. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my what was the last army I did? My Winter Americans. They're about 1,800 points, and I think I did them in about 3 days. Not in one
So you're a
batch,
quick
but
painter. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of cheating.
Mm.
So base coat, wash, highlight, away you go. You're done.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't paint eyes because I can't. I certainly don't paint eyebrows like certain people. I'm not that good.
No.
And
Right.
I am
So
working.
that is.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I'm working on
Yeah.
my first
Yeah.
proper
So
terrain table.
okay.
Battle of the Bulge table, which will be unveiled at Megatron later on in the year when I finish it. It's going to be awesome because Christmas time is the best time to buy winter pine trees.
Everyone does it. I've got a whole box of them.
Yeah,
And I haven't even got a winter table myself.
I haven't got a mat yet. I've got all the base plates for the
I haven't even
trees,
got a mat.
and I've got. Well, I mean, to show you this pile in the corner on the floor there.
Yeah.
That's all that's all the bulge table. I don't have a mat to put it on. I've got. I don't know. I'll get there.
Anyways, so that is the hobby side of what's coming up for you this year. What is going to go on? Are you going to go to tournaments? What are your plans?
Well, I was going to Vegas in a couple of weeks' time, but those job things got in the way. Work.
Real life sucks.
Yeah, I was kind of looking forward to it. So that's January ruined. I've got Spring Offensive, Brian Forster's club tournament, the doubles one in February, which I'm going to.
And we
Got this.
might actually look at your list for that a little bit later.
Yeah. Got a little small event in March called the WTC to go to. That's sort of sucking up the rest of my life right now.
Yep.
What have we got? There's the Juggernauts GT in Birmingham. I'm tempted because I could take the LRDG. I think, based on the package you take them.
Yes.
Pretty sure it's 12.50 theatre lists are okay, so I should be alright with it.
You should, yeah.
Then obviously I've got Megaton, Tron later on in the year. There'll be a Winter Dwarf tournament in Dunfermline with Brian again. That's probably going to be October, I think. And September is return to the Scottish Nationals after last year's shock cancellation.
Yeah, that was an unexpected cancellation. I'm just
I'm telling you.
moving to a different part of the house, right?
You're telling me it was a shock cancellation. I didn't. It was you that told me about it being cancelled.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's
It was
all
on
right.
purpose. It wasn't me cancelling.
I didn't when Benny told me. I didn't believe him, but I believed you when you said it.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone was surprised about that.
Yes, but well, water under the bridge. It's back next year. Is the let me get next year's calendar out again because I've actually got a date for it. It is, I believe, the 23rd and 24th of September. The last weekend in September. It is at the same venue as it was previously in Bathgate. I'm not getting involved in sorting the hotels out because that just ended up in madness last time.
Yeah.
But it will be a full weekend of gaming, food provided by lovely Nightly Games again. And I think quite a few folks should be there. I'm hoping some of the Vikings come across.
Well, again, we've talked about this before, but the world being what it is, I don't expect to see a lot of people traveling. But if we could, I definitely would, and I would highly recommend other people go to Scotland. It's one, it's a really good venue. Two, the Scots are really friendly. As you know, I really like you guys, and three, it's just a good tournament. It's well run. It's on. I mean, it's on point always. So it's always been an amazing experience going to Scotland and playing in your nationals. So
thanks so much, Bo. We like you too. The big benefit with Nightly Gaming is there's free parking.
Yep.
So you're trying to get a venue in Scotland that's got lots of free parking. Jeez.
That can be difficult, yeah, and there's so much room at Nightly Gaming.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a really big room, and you even have double floors if you really
Yeah.
want to like spread out, and you've got 50 plus players, so there's room for quite a lot of activity. That's really nice.
And of course, we've got access to quite a lot of terrain now.
Yeah.
Which is currently stored in my garage, so we're good with that.
Yeah. Right. So so that is the schedule for the year. Sounds
Roughly.
good.
The Birmingham
Roughly.
trip is still not sure about.
Yeah, well, it's still a lot more tournaments than I've got lined up so far. So
Well, one thing that happened in Scotland that's kind of helped with this is that the Scottish TOs, so that's myself, Alistair Unicombe, excuse me, Tom Howley, Johnny Ferg, Don, and a couple others, and Brian, got together in about October this year, and said, right, what's the plan for next year?
Yeah.
Because there's no point having two tournaments in the same month, because Scotland's a small place.
Yeah.
It's the same player base.
Yeah.
If you do two in the same month, it's going to be a case of either or. One will suffer. You guys will be the same, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. We held our meeting in September for next year, just trying to figure out when do people want to do their tournaments, and so we don't overlap too much.
So when I used to run boat action tournaments way back in first ed in Edinburgh at Sixes to Hit, we had one a month for 2 years.
Yeah.
We're doing it again this year and next year. There's one tournament in Scotland every month for the whole year.
Yeah.
And they're spread across from Edinburgh, Dunfermline, Glasgow, Aberdeen. It's the weird place in between Aberdeen and Edinburgh that no one really knows about, where Johnny Ferg lives. Arbroath or something, probably. It's not called that. I don't think it's called that.
That's really good. One tournament a month is really good because that energizes the
Yeah.
base. So people might not turn up for every single tournament. 12 tournaments in a year, that's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
spouse capital, right? But I mean, it should bring in a lot of interest at least,
Yeah.
and maybe new players as well.
It will do. I mean, the benefit we've got in Scotland is the fact that we're no more than about 3 or 4 hours from anywhere, at
Yep.
most.
Yep.
I mean, in Edinburgh, I'm an hour to Bathgate for the Nationals. I'm an hour to Stirling for Megatron. I'm an hour to Dunfermline for Brian's tournaments.
Yeah.
So there, you don't have to stay over, which has got massive benefits. Even the Aberdeen events, if you leave sort of 6 in the morning, you're going to get there in time for the kickoff. So
yeah,
you save a bit of cash that way.
Yeah.
And you save on ridiculous hotels.
Right. Now, you know why you're here. For those of you who don't know, Craig is the TO at the WTC, and we've got questions for you. So I interviewed Dave a few days back, and I asked him some of the same questions. So what are your expectations for this year's WTC?
That everyone has fun.
Yeah,
that's the basic one.
Yeah.
While it's a big international team event, we're still all gamers, you know. If everyone
Still
goes away
just
having
nerds played with toy soldiers.
Yeah, exactly. As long as we all walk away having had a good weekend, I mean, I'll be borderline not walking because I spend the weekend wandering about in meetings. But for the gamers, I mean, as long as their games are good, there's no major drama, which, you know, touch wood, Bolt Action's never had any major drama, really.
No. We've never had anyone being accused of cheating or anything
no fights.
No fights.
No stabbings, which is good, you know.
Yeah.
Very child friendly. They only get a bit antsy when the bar doesn't open on time, but you know.
Yeah.
I just want them to have a good time because one of the important things that came out of a sort of, I suppose, the COVID era for me is that you'll have seen the joke online about the lockdown situations that happened and how gamers have been training for this since they were kids. You know, being locked up in the house, not being able to leave.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It's supposed to be the gamer's dream.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was the opposite because for a lot of us, yes, we'll sit in the house and paint on our own, but we'll go and see the guys once a week or the folks to play the games once a week.
Yeah.
And for a lot of folk, that once a week meeting was their social interaction outside of work. And we lost it. And like I worked at home the entire time, and it at the beginning it was great, but then it starts to hit your well-being. So things like the WTC, it brings us all together because we're all basically the same. You know, we might shout in a different language, but
and we might enjoy different aspects of the game and the hobby, and I mean we're here for different reasons, but basically what we want is to just have a game with another guy over a few beers at a table with painted miniatures.
One of my friends, Andy Meakin, said a long time ago that we're here to roll dice and have fun.
Yeah.
And that's as simple as it gets, and that's what we want folks to do at the WTC. Yes, it's competitive, but all tournaments are really competitive.
Yes.
You know, I've seen it yourself. Day one of the tournament, you get to the end and you start seeing a split in the field.
Yeah.
There's the top
that
5
always
or 6.
happens in two-day tournaments. Yeah.
There's the top 5 or 6 that are pushing to win, and there's the bunch of guys in the middle and lower range who are just there to have a good time.
Yeah.
And they don't. They like I'm one of those guys. I play in a lot of tournaments, but I am terrible at Bolt Action. I have my moments of sheer brilliance, but they're very, very few and very far between these days. But those guys come and they have a great time. They meet gamers from another country. I mean, I met you in Poland. At the bar, we decided to start testing vodkas. And the end result of that was that I got shouted at by Dave for making the captain's meeting half an hour late because we were standing at the bar. And it was hilarious. The whole thing was good. And I mean, there's niggles. we're never going to please everybody, but as long as everyone enjoyed gaming.
Yep. So for you going forward to the WTC now, what are your deadlines? What deadlines do you look out for right now?
So I've got some admin work to do involving terrain, which will be done by the second week of January.
Yeah.
I have got an idea how to avoid the, I've played on that table before. Day 1, day 2 change.
Yeah.
Got an idea how to sort that. It's going to require a bit of extra work from myself and the volunteers, but if it works, nobody will play on the same table twice.
That should be good.
Guaranteed, assuming it works, right?
Assuming it works. Otherwise, I mean,
otherwise,
last time we played on the same table twice, it wasn't a big problem.
I don't particularly like playing on the same table twice, because I'm always at the bottom of the pack. It happens all the time.
Yeah, so at least when I run tournaments as a TO, I often I shift up the tables, because you often want like table 1 and 2 to be the top tables or something like that, but then you always end up with the same players playing on table 18 and table 2. So sometimes I just shift everything, all the numbers. And
next deadline is obviously the list submissions.
Yes, coming up rather soon now.
The date is in the pack. Now, the pack is on the Facebook page. It's not been put on the website yet, because for some reason, every time I email the stupid pack across to James, the PDF never attaches properly. So that will be sorted today, but the pack is on the Facebook page where you guys need it. The captains are asking brilliant questions. Let's be honest, you guys have got some complex questions going on there.
Yes, a lot of them, and a lot of them are like the grey cells are really working overtime for some of them. Not all of them are genuine questions, I have to say. Some of them are just questions that someone asked me, and I was like reposted that question.
What's amusing is you guys always ask the questions when I'm at work and I don't have my books on me.
I'm sorry.
So I have to. I'm like, Jan, do you have your book?
Yeah. But you don't have to. Remember, Greg, you don't have to answer immediately.
So the problem is, if I don't, I'll forget, and it'll go for months and I won't reply.
True. And I'll try and nudge Jan and you and see.
All right.
And I'll definitely try and help. And I've been collecting all the answers into a fax, so I'll update that at some point.
Yeah, I've got all the questions that were asked from. So I got all the questions that were asked in the run up to
the Cork.
No, let me rephrase that. I've got all the questions that were asked at Cork written up. They're on that FAQ doc. The questions in the run up to Cork is taking a bit longer because we just copy and pasted the messenger threads, and I'm going to have to hire a translator.
Yeah.
There's a lot of emojis in there. And there's somebody kept putting these videos up, asking questions based on videos. So.
Don't know who that could be. That's weird. That's very weird.
So that's that. Terrain that's in my garage used to go down to Dave, which is Paul's covering that.
Yeah.
While
you mention it, the elephant in the room, I have to ask you. And you don't have to answer.
Sorry.
Dave didn't want to answer too much anyways. What are the tables going to look like?
It's a surprise. Surprise!
Okay. One of the things that may have been a criticism before was that some tables at the WTC were sparse compared to what you see at tournaments at other places.
I mean, you and I spoke about this at the event, and I think I spoke to most of their captains.
Yeah.
The sort of white snow frozen waste table that was very bare, that was an emergency setup. Yeah. Because the other set of terrain didn't work. This year the tables are being designed and prepped way before in advance, and there will be 2 or 3 boxes spare scatter terrain as well for us, because we learned every year. We learn. It's a learning experience. Poland, we trusted a courier. And
they lost terrain.
No, they lost worse than terrain, Bo.
They did?
They lost the 2 boxes of scatter terrain.
Oh,
the stuff that you used to fill the gaps with. They lost all of that. It still never came back. Then what did come back had been run over by a car. So that all got fixed. Cork, we were better. Dave has been working like a trooper on the terrain because that's his baby. This casting he's been doing is incredible.
Yeah, he told me that he was 3D printing a master and then casting it, and then just mass producing terrain, which is what you need for a team tournament. You need all the tables, at least at this level, right?
Identical.
For people who haven't been to the WTC, you need the tables for all 4 players on the team to be exactly identical. So you need a lot of very, very identical terrain. So casting it's an obvious solution.
As we go forward, the plan is to have maybe like a new table or one or two table designs each year.
Yep.
It just depends upon the volume of teams coming through for the following years. So I know this year we've no South Africa, no Scotland. Yep. But I'm hoping they'll be back for next time. Yep. I think that's 2024. I'm dealing with so many years in advances, it's starting to cause an age problem here. You were going to get to see some of the terrain in advance. You may not see the layouts.
Nope, we shouldn't.
Because
that would only mean that I was whipping my team through testing on a specific table, so we knew the table in advance.
For any of you guys that haven't met Bo at the WTC, he turns up with a giant ring binder with army lists in it and prep notes and mission plans and he's probably like a Formula One team chief, I would think. And apparently he's quite strict and hands-on, according to unnamed members of the Viking team.
There may have been some light spanking going on, yeah.
Probably, but Benny likes that, so
he does.
So that's what's happening with that. Once the lists are in, we kind of hit that lull point for things. I get folk are always saying, let's put more stuff on social media, etc., but there are points where there's nothing really starts to tell you. Do you want to know the colour of the fold-out tables that we're putting the mats on top of?
Oh, yes.
Love that kind of information.
Every piece of information you can give me, I want to know it all, of course, but I shouldn't.
It's a lot of the stuff a lot of things Dave deals with in particular is logistical, where it's not exciting.
No. But you are going to sit and check over lists, and I think Benny is going to help you with that. Is that correct?
I've got a couple of folk helping with list checking this year.
Yes.
Mainly because I missed a couple last year, or at least I think I did. I know there was some issues with lists, but I can't say for sure I missed them.
So many lists checking, I would miss more than a couple, I can tell you that.
This time, there's going to be at least 4 sets of eyes check each list.
Yep.
And none of them are going to be involved. And the thing is, once the lists are submitted, that's it.
Yep.
I've got Jan, my Viking stunt double, is assistant TO this year. I will be bringing somebody else, if not a couple more. It's as Dave mentioned, the expansion to having second teams has destroyed my support for TOing because all the volunteers for TOing are now on the second teams.
Yes, they are. Yeah,
which is hilarious. But that'll be enough TOs there because Paul's going to be kicking about as well this year to help out. And then lists are checked; they'll get published. You guys can then sit and ignore them.
Do we have a cutoff date for publishing the lists?
Probably, it's probably on the pack, but it's on. My computer's turned off just now, and I can't get onto my phone while I'm talking to you in this.
It's not really on the pack.
I will post an update to you guys later on this afternoon once I check some dates. But then it's a case of, well, also I need to book a ticket to fly there, which will probably help if I do that soon.
You should.
Then we're going to have, as normal, we'll have our captain's chat on the Friday, assuming we can get you guys out of the pool.
Remember to bring your bathing suits.
Remember, bring your suntan cream. We're gamers. We catch fire in sunlight.
Yes.
So we've got that. The hotel, I have to say, looks incredibly good.
It does.
I loved the hotel in Poland. Cork wasn't too bad, expensive, but that's
It was
the nature
expensive,
of.
but it was good, and it was pretty close to the town. So
Yeah,
those of us who didn't want to stay at the hotel, we just got Airbnbs, and that was perfectly fine as well.
I mean that's one of the things that Dave I know is very. I wouldn't say obsessed with, but he's always keen on trying to get something that's affordable for you guys as well as us.
Yeah,
The problem is it limits things. So like, I would
it does.
love to have the WTC in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine dragging that lot across to Edinburgh for like a weekend?
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, you go out in the streets and there's a massive amounts of sights to go and see. But £150 a night hotel rooms.
It becomes very, very expensive. Yeah.
£10,000 venue hires. It's just not going to happen.
No.
Unless I can swing something with the university. But so that's that. I mean, yeah, we're in the admin stage now. I think last minute prep. Dave's going to pack his car, drive off. But that's obviously not for a couple of months. And then we get there, and it's good times because we're all in the same place this time. We're not going to be scattered like we're in Cork.
Yeah.
See each other at breakfast like we did in Poland, and
Yep.
I will try not to spend all night stuck in meetings with Dave, Paul, and other people, so we'll actually be able to socialise this time. Because I felt pretty bad about that in Poland and in Cork.
Well, being TO for such an event of that size with that many people, there's a lot of work to do. I don't think people who haven't tried TOing knows how much actual work there is. It's really a hassle. So if you even get to socialize a bit, you should be lucky.
Well, I think the problem was last time we tried to do some discussions about the following year's venue and stuff at night, and it could have waited.
Yeah.
You know, we learned that. You know, we were sitting in Dave's hotel room at 3 a.m. eating cold pizza with Paul asleep in a corner. I'm not going to say his head was on my lap, but he was asleep in the corner.
Yeah.
But it's good times. I mean, everyone comes on as a great laugh. We get to see the likes of you guys. I get to see John Ross from the American team because John Ross is really funny. I was meant to meet up with him in Vegas this year. He was trying to get me to go to Atlanta to his Warzone tournament. His Polish team, Manuel and the rest of them. Yeah. It's good to see all you guys.
It will be good. It's really funny. One of the main things that WTC did, at least for me, was it sort of expanded my my circle of gaming friends enormously, and most of them I'm not in regular contact with because we can't meet up, right? But as soon as I travel anywhere, I can just like drop a hint on Discord or wherever, and people are like, yep, I'll meet you. We can at least go have a beer, if not a game. I mean, it's an amazing thing that happened.
It is.
Yep.
And I don't think anyone's quite realised that'd be one of the big benefits from it.
No.
Like, we wanted this to be all about well-being of gamers. Because in the end, we've got to look after each other. There's not a lot of us.
No.
We're not all Henry Cavill, you know.
No.
And like, I'd met the Juggernauts and Topher and those guys. I'd met them in Leicester once at a tournament, but I really got to know them at the WTC. And I talk to PT every couple of weeks just to annoy him. Talk to you guys every so often. John Ross and the rest of them. It's great. You're right. We would never have met if we hadn't done this.
Exactly. And
you guys
that's
you wouldn't have travelled the risks of COVID time to come to the Scottish Nationals.
Yep. And we did.
You did.
Yeah,
it was
an enormous hassle, but God, I'm glad we did. It really saved a lot of souls during COVID times that we did.
I'm a bit miffed that the only picture that was taken of me of the entire event was me asleep in a chair next to the prize table. God damn you, Paul Walker. So I mean that's it. WTC is up and running. It's all good.
That sounds good. Right. But Craig, you're also going to this doubles tournament, and you sent me your list, but I couldn't actually open it.
I did.
So could you possibly just reveal for the audience what you're thinking of bringing? And if you have the list electronically, can you share it with us so that we can actually see it? Or is it too much in your head still?
No, the list I sent you was an easy army list look for sharing. So, but then I went in to change it,
Mm.
and I've changed it 4 times since then. So it's not. It's probably still locked, but it's a different variant.
It is.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to the doubles event hopefully.
And it's a 1250 event.
It's 1300.
1300. That's it, because that means 650 for each
50
player.
each.
Yeah.
And I think it's 16 dice or 18 dice limit. One of the
It's a
two.
dice cap.
There's a dice cap. Brian's trying some new things.
Okay.
He's always he likes to innovate the tournaments because there's nothing like going to the same tournament every single time and it's exactly the same because you get the same lists. So I'm going with Andy Warden, who you've not met before.
Okay. Yeah.
Andy's used to play a lot of tournaments. He was a big proponent of flamethrowers in Kubel wagons back in Mark 1 when it first came out, which now everyone does. He's not trying to say he's a trendsetter, but deep down he probably thinks he is.
Maybe, yeah.
So we're going to run early war Germans because it's what he's got. That's what he's got other armies, but he's played a lot of early war Germans. So I then had to try and figure out what on earth I'm taking because I don't actually have early war Germans. I've got a late war German army. And I was like, I've got Finns, but that's not really going to work either. I was like, well, hang on, I've got those May 1940 Fallschirmjäger from the Kickstarter.
That means you have to paint the army up.
I will need to paint the army now. I'm probably going to try and paint all of the figures, not just the army. And I think at last count, there's about 200 figures in the army. Probably more than that, because it was a double platoon, so everything was doubled.
Yep.
So it'll be veteran for me, because early war Fallschirmjäger class is vets.
Yep.
Mine are based on the invasion of Norway, because it's a bit different.
What unit size are you thinking of going?
Well, I was doing 8-man, because my Marine Corps were always 8-man veteran units now. I love 8-man units.
Yeah, that's good.
But what I'd planned to take was a second lieutenant, regular with Buddy, because he's always good for Buddy. I think it was 3 8-man squads of veteran early war Fallschirmjäger with rifles. Nothing else, just rifles, because LMGs aren't worth it.
No.
Unless you're going
the rifles give you the range and not going to any units anyway with 8 men. So it's just a good skirmish unit that can fight close combat.
Yeah. And there's no point going SMG unless you go full SMG.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could shrink the squads down to like 5-man squads and put full SMG in them, but they're 5-man squads. They're not very survivable.
Nope.
Then, actually, let me just get the name of it. So, a medium mortar, and I went for an inexperienced one because, this guy online called Bo gave me grief for taking a regular one last time. I'll win my defense.
I think you can, but I'm starting to think that the medium inexperienced is the more competitive choice, simply because it's just so much cheaper.
It is.
And
I
most of the time you won't need that spotter because, I mean, okay, there's a sniper, but you just move your medium mortar somewhere where the sniper can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my defense in that Japanese list, I was on a dice count max at that point, so I couldn't have done the changes you wanted. So, plus I got tabled 3 times. So,
well.
So yeah, it's the 105 LG40-1 from the recoilless artillery section of the Germans.
Okay.
Now, it is a medium howitzer.
Yeah.
But it's smaller in model size than a British 25-pounder. You know the Marine Corps 25-pounder, the airborne 25-pounder is smaller than that.
It's tiny. Yeah.
And it means it can hide behind terrain a lot easier.
Nice.
Now, it's a fixed weapons team. It's howitzer like normal. It's only a 3-man crew and there's no spotters, but it's 70 points for a regular, which is
that's pretty cheap.
5 points cheaper than a standard howitzer, but 1 less man. and no gun shield. But
well, if you stick it
fine.
in some hard cover somewhere, then
Exactly.
that won't matter. It'll
Um,
survive most things.
So there's one of those in there. There was an anti-tank rifle.
Hmm?
There was a flamethrower. There was a Kettenkrad, which can tow the medium howitzer.
Yeah.
But it can also transport the flamethrower instead if it wants to.
Yep. Could
Good
be
little option.
the transport for that. Yeah.
And we never see Kettenkrads on the table. I love the
Not
models.
a lot. No.
Not as flexible as a heavy field car is, obviously. And I'm not sure what they are points variance against a Kubelwagen, because I can't remember.
But you guys are obviously sticking with the theme here of being early word Germans and not putting Fausts in anything and going all in on that. What are you thinking in armor? Are you thinking any armor?
None for me. None for me. Because, well, first off, the only early war German armor I've got is I think I've got an unpainted Panzer II, which isn't really viable. I've got an Afrika Korps Panzer III, which we know Panzer III is now the best tanks in the world.
Yeah. Really, really good.
But as we know, Rubicon is sold out worldwide now in Panzer IIIs.
Yep.
And I don't have a spare one. I don't think there's one in the pile either. So armor-wise, what have I got a choice of? Nothing really.
Yep.
And I was like, but it's a doubles event. I know that Andy's got a little bit of a thing for the 38T. He loves it.
Yeah.
Although this may change with the recent Panzer III rulings. But I was like, it might be a 1,300 point game.
Yeah.
But it's 650 lists.
So you're not going to see that many armored
exactly, and there's an armor restriction as well.
Yeah, yeah. I just opened the restrictions here. It says no armored vehicles with armor value greater than 9. So you have to be medium tanks or lower, and 16 dice order dice maximum. Yeah.
And there's no point sharing. So if I go 600, the other guy can't have the 50 point extra.
Yeah.
So limited to 650, you're not really going to see anything crazy, I don't think.
No, because a lot of points are going to go into those units that you have to take for both players.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking, what, 370 roughly, 270 roughly for the compulsories, let's see.
Yeah.
So you're left with a couple of hundred points, maybe 300 at tops.
Yeah. So you might see some lists that have double stewards or something like that, but
you might do, but that's those people.
Yeah, but you're not going to see like lists with 2 tanks and
No.
1 armored car or 2 armored cars. No, that's not. I don't think that's going to happen a lot.
So then we played about with the idea, and I swapped one. This doesn't actually affect the list because the units are exactly the same. I swapped one of the Fallschirmjäger units for Gebirgsjäger.
Yeah.
Because in one of the various books I've got about the Norway campaign, there's a bit in it where the Fallschirmjäger jump in. When they land in the hills, the Gebirgsjäger appear out of the snow, and because they've come over the mountains.
Yeah.
And they link up, so I'll Gebirgsjäger unit will look better. So that'll probably be in there. But then we started playing about with this last night at about midnight.
Yeah.
Because I found an 88mm gun in a box on my shelf.
Which, of course, everyone has those boxes that just pop up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you do, I can see.
Yeah. I mean, there's Napoleonics up there. There's Epic Civil War. There's God knows everything.
I got piles and piles of plastic Saga miniatures.
Oh, I've got my, is it Saxons I've got? Yeah. No, can't remember. Normans, I've got a Norman force for Saga. Still in the box. Brian convinced me to play it. But then we started playing about with this. I was like, okay, so an 88, it's 170, 180 points. But it's incredible.
It is really, really good.
But I think it's really good because of, excuse me, not what it is, because it is it's a super heavy AT gun. It's not that. It's because of what it represents.
Yeah.
So the platform it's on gives it massive area denial.
Yeah. That 360 platform is amazing, and
Oh.
putting one of those on ambush.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew McKay, I played against him in Scotland, and he had, and he decimated me with his
Yeah.
A8s. He absolutely trashed me, and I thought this was going to be an easy game, and he murdered my whole army with that.
Because that's Andy's double 88 DAC list, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I mean, my DAC list is similar. I've got way more than this, but the Force had an 88 plus a Tiger.
Yeah.
Because I like Tigers.
Everyone does.
But then we thought, what else can we do? So I was like, oh, well, do I need a flamethrower? Am I really going to get that close in?
Maybe not.
Look at the missions. The missions are Bolt Action Alliance missions, so it's Kitty Hawk Down and ones like that.
Mm.
Like, okay.
So you're going to need to be a little bit mobile, but at the same time, yeah.
If you're too mobile, it's a lot of points sucked up.
It is, yeah.
So I was like, could dump that, get an 88, 3 7-man units plus an 88 with an officer, medium mortar with spotter, motorbike and sidecar. Still playing about with it.
I like that. That is more of a toolbox approach than going with something more mobile.
I mean, I've got my Americans are 100% mobile, but the problem with that is it works or it doesn't work.
Yep.
If you do it, you're out on a limb because you're waiting for them to come in from outflank or reserve. Yep. And if it works for you, that's brilliant. But if you don't get that dice roll, you're having to hang back on your plan every single turn.
Yep.
I mean, the last time I used my Americans at Dwarf was actually in September, I think, when it came last in the tournament.
Hey, wooden spoon.
Yeah, I got. Well, Brian does certificates as well as trophies, and I think I now have about 12 Purple Heart certificates. I used to have them all on the wall in frames, but the reserves didn't come on until too late. And by the time they came on, I'd lost my army.
Yep. So that's no help.
Not helping.
So you'll want an army that actually is on the table. So yeah, and it's a massive area denial. And if you get the right tables, then yeah, an 88 should do well. How many order dice do you think you're going to end up with?
8. Because the opponent will have 8 as well.
Yeah,
perfect. Not my opponent, my teammate, sorry.
Yeah, we'll have 8, yeah.
Freudian slip there. He'll have 8 as well. I mean, because the original list I wrote, I actually had 10 dice, and I was like, oh god, that only gives him 6.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to read the pack properly.
Yep.
I'm not used to seeing a dice cap in Scottish packs.
No, it's not something that happens often. Not in the packs that I've read through. And I've read through most of them from the past couple of years. Yeah.
If you want, I'll try and dig you out the first tournament pack that was written for Scotland. Tournament in Edinburgh called the Big Red Elg.
Okay.
And I think Alistair won it. Back when he had his baldy head and his little Lenin-esque beard. With his hammer and sickle t-shirt and his first Soviet army, and
nice.
Brian Forrester was there, and Stephen Bonner, who you probably know of but have never met.
Yep.
Because everyone knows Bonner.
Yep.
I was just there to watch it, but then the TO didn't turn up, so I had to TO it.
Okay.
I think that was the first bolt action event in Scotland. I don't want to say the UK because I don't know, but it was years ago.
Yeah. First edition and everything.
Yeah, first edition, no FAQ existed. I think the British Army box was out. The German Army box was out. The Soviet one was out, and I think that was about it. Old days, not that anymore. But yeah,
That
So,
was
yeah.
basically all my questions for you today, Craig.
Excellent.
Very nice talking to you, and I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to actually seeing you in person at the WTC in
Yeah,
Spain.
we need to see you again. And I may, no, they won't be done in time. As I say, I might bring across the SAS to let you see them, but they won't be done in time.
Yeah, well, I'm still looking forward to the regular hobby updates. They will get directly made into videos
Yeah.
as soon as you have them. So
I had to stop a little bit and paint some Age of Sigmar, so
yeah, and now you have a whole Fallschirmjäger army to do as well.
this is true. Although that's only for February.
You're
The
a
rest
way
of the year
faster
is
painter than me,
SAS.
I can tell. Right. Craig,
No problem.
that was it for us today. Thank you so much for participating. I will talk to you again, and maybe even we'll do an after WTC action report.
Certainly.
Maybe even
Certainly.
live. That's it.
That'll be fun.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And that